Part 41. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 401. The next day, Su Xian received a prompt from the system early in the morning. Ding, your disciple Su Maiwang has merged the blood of the original spirit. Congratulations on triggering the 4,000-fold critical strike return, and your Chaos Body prototype has evolved. Chaos Body Prototype Evolution Degree, 58%. Su Xian was not too surprised by this. After Maiwang understood the evolutionary path of the god's inheritance, it was very easy for him to absorb the blood of the original spirit. He did not care too much about this. The top priority is to wipe out the rebel army. He glanced at the communicator, and Moira and Tianbaiyu had already started to act and sent him messages. These two strongest demigods of the Blue Star camp went out together. It should be easy to just take down the two rebel leaders, the Scarlet Female Lord and the Lord of the Sharp Riders. Su Ying, let's go too. Su Xian was also ready to start the action. His responsibility was to clean up the sacred army of the Dragon Kingdom. The former two kings and 12 pillars had caused a lot of trouble to the Dragon Kingdom and put him in danger several times, but for him now, they were nothing more than something that could be destroyed with a single move. The last time he used the power of the World Tree to severely injure the king, the latter might not have recovered yet. He did not bring too many people with him on this operation. He, Su Ying, and Xiao Li were enough. The three of them left Dingai King City quietly and flew into the wilderness. At the same time, all cities around the world opened a protective formation at the same time, monitoring every move in the city. As long as the extremists of the rebel army dared to show up, the defenders of each city would kill them with thunder. Su Xian, can you find their location? Lin Su Ying overlooked the vast wilderness. This is a completely different world from the city. Blue Star, which seems to have been completely stable, still has ferocious beasts running rampant in the wilderness. The strong men of Blue Star also thought about clearing out the fierce beasts, but there were too many small world channels, densely filling the mountains, rivers, seas, deserts, and other regions of the world. In terms of low-end combat power, Blue Star has no qualifications to compete with Legoland Star. They can't defend the small world channels. They can only let the monsters of Legoland Star invade and retreat to the city. But doing so is not without benefits. After the city is stable, the monsters in the wilderness have become a means for professionals to level up. If it weren't for being able to practice with the monsters of Monster Attack the City, the professional system of Blue Star might not have developed so rapidly. Because too many small world channels intersect, causing spatial disorder in the wilderness, his mental power cannot explore the entire area. This is why it is difficult to find the rebels after they hide. Various factors have allowed the rebels to survive to this day. But now the Blue Star Alliance is determined to pull out the roots of the rebels, and the latter can't hide even if they want to. Su Xian operates the Great Star Play technique and keeps sensing. Combined with the intelligence collected by the Blue Star Alliance before, he continued to narrow the target range and soon found the location of the Holy Legion's headquarters. The Holy Legion's base was buried deep underground, with many small world passages above it and a large number of ferocious beasts gathered. It was not easy to find. If Su Xian had not fought with the Holy Legion many times and was familiar with their aura, he might have missed it. It's right there. Su Xian and the other two landed quickly. Xiao Li, you are responsible for blocking, Su Ying, you are responsible for intercepting and killing, and no one can be spared. As Su Xian's order fell, they no longer hid and their aura was fully open. Xiao Li threw the sledgehammer in his hand into the sky. The sledgehammer transformed, suppressed the world, and completely blocked the regional space within a radius of 500 miles. Lin Su Ying held a sword and floated in the air. As long as any rebels who tried to break free from the blockade appeared, she would kill them mercilessly. Su Xian even fell directly into the ground. Along with him fell the thunder in the sky. The sea of thunder suddenly spread out in all directions, annihilating tens of millions of beasts within a radius of 500 miles. The huge movement instantly alarmed the rebels in the base of the Holy Legion. Before they could react, the strong mental fluctuations had spread to them, and those with weaker realms were directly shocked to the point of bleeding from all 7 orifices and half dead. What happened? Has the army of the Blue Star Alliance come? Lauren's star retreated. Are they finally going to settle accounts with us now? The base of the Legion was in chaos. Some people even rushed out to surrender. But as long as they dared to show their heads, Su Xian would not spare a single one and kill them all. The crime of treason is not worthy of forgiveness. Thousand Machine King Su Xian. A roar came from the base. Do you really want to kill them all? It was the voice of the king. Su Xian could hear that the angry voice revealed helplessness, and the king's injuries had obviously not recovered. If the king was in his prime, he might still be a threat to him. If they were in this state, they would not be his opponent. Su Xian did not speak. He moved the flowing star blade in his hand, and the endless gravity fell, instantly crushing the outer defense of the Legion base. At the same time, Lin Suiying and Zili were also assisting him. The Holy Legion's protective formation alone could not stop the combined attack of the three. Boom! The formation was broken. Su Xian turned into a stream of light and rushed into the underground base alone. The 12 pillars of the Marquisate level had no ability to resist him, and were instantly captured and thrown into the life space of the Misty Breath. He did not kill the 12 pillars rebels immediately because they had the list of the rebels. The extremists on the list lurking around the world were the real threat to the rebels. The king did not dare to fight Su Xian at all. After being seriously injured last time, he had an instinctive fear of Su Xian, not to mention that he had just heard about Su Xian's record of breaking into Lulan Star alone. He did not think he had any hope of winning. Whoosh! Tongkang turned into a black ball of light and wanted to escape, but was hit by a golden hammer that fell from the sky. In a short time, the entire Holy Legion base had turned into ruins. Tongkang's eyes were left with despair. He should have expected that the Blue Star Alliance would definitely clean up the internal affairs after the defeat of Lulan Star, but he did not expect the action to come so quickly, leaving him no time to resist. King Qinji, have you ever thought about the consequences of killing me? Tongkang was unwilling and could only threaten Su Xian in another way. Consequences, Su Xian sneered, the consequence of killing you is peace and tranquility in the world. Peace. Tongkang sneered, as long as I die, the entire Dragon Kingdom will not be peaceful. You underestimate the power of the rebels. Puff. As soon as the voice fell, the magic sword Apophis carrying the breath of destruction had pierced Tongkang's chest with a sword. Su Xian looked down at him with a look of disdain. Since you are so confident, I will wait and see. But you must die. No one can stop you, I said. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 402. While his injuries have not yet recovered, Tongkang is no match for Su Xian. Boom. The demon sword Apophis that penetrated Tongkang's chest was filled with purple meaning of destruction. The aura of destruction filled Tongkang's body. Su Xian grabbed Tongkang's neck and stared into his eyes. The era of rebels has passed, and now is the time for you to pay the price. Tongkang let out a painful and ferocious laugh. If you kill me, there will be thousands more of me who will stand up. Su Xian, I admit that you are strong, but no matter how strong you are, you can't control people's hearts. You can never understand a person's desire for power. Justice is also corruptible, and rebellion is just the spiritual coexistence of those of us who are forced to a desperate end. I hope you can understand our pain one day. One day you will realize how ridiculous your beliefs are. Su Xian's heart showed no fluctuation, and he still looked at him coldly. If these are your last words, then you have been a failure in your life. Tong Kang laughed wildly, one day you will always know that not all the faults are ours. Puff. After the words fell, Su Xian had a thought in his mind. The powerful force directly annihilated Tong Kang's body. The evil-doing rebel organization Holy Legion came to an end. It was only then that a trace of fluctuation flashed in Su Xian's eyes. There are indeed many people in the rebels who have grievances. There is no absolute fairness and justice in the world. But this is not the reason for the rebels to harm innocent people. Today's threat lies with innocent people, but tomorrow it may fall on those close to them. Rebels should be killed. After Tong Kang was annihilated, Su Xian released the high-ranking rebels who were sealed in the ring. He showed no mercy to these people. The soul scalpel is turned on. Soon he collected the information he wanted. As expected, the lists of rebels hiding in the city are all in the hands of these high-level officials. Once they control these lists, it will no longer be difficult to uncover the hidden bombs. In addition, Su Xian also collected some unexpected information. In addition to engaging in terrorist activities, the rebels also conducted a series of inhumane biological experiments on humans, and even tried to communicate with the abyssal plane. These people have already lost their original intention. Desperate for power, he reached the point of becoming insane. All kinds of memory information were combined, and Su Xian quickly grasped the key points. The three major rebel organizations in the world have jointly established a biological research laboratory called Morning Star. The specific contents are not clear to the senior officials. In order to protect the existence of this research laboratory, the leaders of the three major rebel organizations, the King, the Scarlet Lady, and the Lord of the Sharp Cavalry, have extremely strict control over it. Only the three leaders know what the research laboratory does specifically. Anyone else with knowledge of the matter is strictly restricted. These high-level officials only know a little bit about it. Among the information collected, Su Xian did not find any clues about the address of the research laboratory called Morning Star. It is most likely not within the Dragon Kingdom. What's wrong? Seeing Su Xian's solemn look, Lin Suiying asked with concern, "Didn't you find the list information of the Holy Legion?" "I found the list." Su Xian shook his head, "But now there is a new trouble. The three major rebel organizations have jointly established a biological research laboratory. If the guess is correct, this research room should be specialized in studying sideways to obtain power. According to the little information we have obtained so far, this laboratory must have kidnapped many talented young people for experiments. We must find this place as soon as possible." Biology Laboratory. Lin Suiying also frowned. Many people disappeared and died in major cities every year. I am afraid that some of these missing people were kidnapped by the rebels. But at that time, the Blue Star Alliance did not have much spare capacity to investigate these incidents. It conducted several small-scale investigations but did not achieve any results. Let's leave here first and meet up with Moira and Tian Baiyu. Maybe they have also collected relevant information. Just because the Holy Legion received limited information, Su Xian could not guess the location of the research room. Perhaps by combining information from many sources, clues can be found. No matter how bad it is, a blanket search must be used to find the location of this laboratory and completely cut off the source of the rebel organization's evil. Xiao Li, I'll leave the rest to you. Su Xian and Lin Suiying walked out of the Legion base. "Okay, teacher." Xiao Li raised the sledgehammer high and roared in a childish voice, "Sledgehammer. 80. Boom. Hit it with a hammer." The already fragmented Holy Legion base was completely smashed and buried in the dust. Xiao Li was very satisfied, put away the hammer, clapped his hands, "Teacher, it's done. Little Carp is awesome." Lin Suiying hugged her daughter and praised her without hesitation. Su Xian was also a little surprised. In terms of physical strength alone, Xiao Li is probably not weaker than him at all. At the same time, In other places within the Dragon Kingdom, the powerful demigods also took action. All the Holy Legion bases in the Dragon Kingdom were destroyed. Actions abroad are also taking place simultaneously. In the Eagle Kingdom, where the Scarlet Church is located, Moira personally took action and killed the Scarlet Lady with the power of thunder, and at the same time obtained the list of the Scarlet Church rebels. In the Romantic Country, where the Rookie organization is located, Tianbaiyu also easily killed the leader of Rookie. Morning Star Laboratory. Looking at the memory information collected by Peixiu, Tianbaiyu's eyes burst with murderous intent. These beasts are actually conducting such inhumane experiments in secret. As an alchemist, Peixiu also hates this very much. There have been many evil alchemists who have conducted experiments on living people. That kind of experiment is naturally not allowed. Once allowed, it will breed endless darkness, bringing a little benefit while causing greater disasters. Moira and Kinji King should have found relevant information. Peixiu analyzed, we will meet up with them now and integrate all the information together. We should be able to infer the approximate location of this laboratory. Without further delay, I will let the Blue Star Alliance contact them to meet up. Tianbaiyu also knew the seriousness of the matter. The three major rebel organizations were destroyed, and the biological laboratory was likely to be moved. They must act as soon as possible and capture them before they move. Whoosh! Tianbaiyu flew back with Peixiu. On the other side, Su Xian and Moira also rushed back to Dragon Country at the fastest speed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 403. Three streams of light converged on the border of Dragon Kingdom. At the speed of Su Xian, Moira, and Tianbaiyu, it wouldn't take long to cross Blue Star. Your Majesty, have you also collected information about Daystar Laboratory? Su Xian spoke first. Moira and Tianbaiyu nodded at the same time. For you. Moira printed the collected information in the form of a scroll and handed it to the two of them. I made a brief calculation and found that this biological research laboratory is not simple. The Book of Prophecy shows it to be a bad omen. Tianbaiyu looked heavy. With our strength, this trip can be considered a bad omen. The three major rebel organizations shouldn't have this ability, right? Even if they receive assistance from Starlowland, how can they pose a threat to us on the Blue Star mainland? Su Xian squinted his eyes and said word by word, perhaps the threat does not come from Lulan Star and the rebel organization. Tianbaiyu was shocked. Not the rebel organization and Lauren? That's... Soon, a name came to his mind. A world more terrifying than Starlowland, the Abyss. Is it related to the Abyss? You must know that the rebels will do anything they can. As long as they can gain strength, they will not care about the life or death of others. The glory of the clan has long since dissipated in their eyes. There have been several examples before where the rebels tried to collude with the Abyss. The most recent one was in the finals of the Global Higher Education Exchange competition. King Suzuka used himself as a seed to communicate with the abyssal plane, which almost caused a catastrophe. There has been no movement in the abyss for a long time. But Tianbaiyu knew in his heart that this was a bigger threat than Lulan Star and could strike at any time. Whether it's an abyss or not, we must find this laboratory as soon as possible. Since the first disciple Zhongmu entered the abyss, Su Xian has learned a lot more about the abyss. According to Zhongmu's description, there are a total of 108 levels in the abyss, and each level of the abyss is ruled by a monarch. To become a monarch, you need at least semi-god level strength. If it were not for the rules of the abyss world, there would be more monarchs in the abyss. However, the abyss adheres to the principle of the weak and the strong. No matter which layer of the abyss a monarch is born, he will challenge another monarch. Only one of the two parties can survive. The combat performance of the Abyss Monarchs created in such an environment is far superior to that of Blue Star and Lowland Star, who huddle together for warmth. In the Abyss, you can only survive by continuously improving your strength. So even the Monarchs are trying their best to go further. Not to mention that the Monarchs of the last 8 levels of the Abyss already have power beyond the demigod realm. If the Abyss really invades completely, even Blue Star and Lowland Star together will definitely not be the opponent of the Abyss world. Because of this, Tian Biao felt even more urgent. He looked at Moira and said urgently, "Your Majesty, please calculate the location of the Morning Star Research Laboratory again based on the information collected so far. This scourge must be eliminated." Good. Moira didn't refuse. The Abyss is a threat to any creature in the 2 worlds, and she is also worried. The Book of Prophecy emerges. The pages of the book were turning rapidly in the windless air. When turning to a certain page, the page stopped in the middle. It trembled slightly at an extremely fast speed, and could neither be turned over nor turned back. Even Moira's face turned pale. Su Xian also has a deep research on the method of divination of destiny, and he knows exactly what it means. The more important the event is about the future, the more difficult it is to predict. If you force the divination, you may risk your life. The secret cannot be revealed. This kind of thing goes against nature, and every divination prophecy is harmful to Moira's body. Tian Biao was also watching nervously. Finally, the page of the Book of Prophecy was turned over. Moira held it. The pages become physical. Ahem. Moira coughed twice, and her voice became much weaker. "I may need to rest next, and I will leave the Institute's operations to you." She handed the pages to Su Xian. If it weren't for the fact that Prince Shuiyu's mansion had a world tree that was of great benefit to the elves, she wouldn't have dared to play like this. "Your Majesty, thank you for your hard work." Su Xian took the page. "Your Majesty, rest assured and leave the rest to us." Tian Biao has no heirs. Although he is the strongest demigod in Blue Star, he has also received a lot of favors from Moira and has always respected Moira. Moira nodded and turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Su Xian and Tian Biao looked at the pages in their hands at the same time. The divine prophecy does not directly show the result, but some vague patterns, hinting at the direction of the ending. What is this? A dragon. The pattern shows a dragon hovering on top of a mountain. Obvious Oriental dragon pattern. This made the two of them stunned for a moment. Could it be that the so-called Morning Star Research Laboratory is within the Dragon Kingdom? It seems that the 3 major rebel organizations are really prepared to implement the belief that the most dangerous place is the safest place. The answer already appeared in their minds. Great Wall. Such a pattern may not be a metaphor for the Great Wall built by Zilong in the old days, but there is probably no other answer. Whoosh! Whoosh! The next second, the two of them flew into the distance in tacit agreement. Soon they came to the top of the Great Wall of the Old Era. After the baptism of the times and the changes of the world fusion, the Great Wall has long been damaged beyond recognition, and many places have become ruins. There are also countless passages to the worlds of different sizes here. The two used their mental power to explore a circle, but they did not find any suspicious breath. It is hidden very deeply. Su Xian suggested, "Your Majesty Tianbiyu, why don't we search separately?" Okay. The mental power of the two continued to spread outward, searching every place carefully. To their surprise, after searching the entire Great Wall area, there was still no trace of the Morning Star Laboratory. Is this laboratory buried deep underground? Due to the changes of the fusion of the two worlds, their exploration of the underground is very low, and with their strength, they can only go about 10,000 meters underground. And the exploration is extremely laborious. The closer to the underground origin, the more instinctive resistance will be encountered between the wills of the two worlds. The three major rebel organizations should not have the ability to build a laboratory in a deeper place, right? Maybe they have a special shielding formation. After thinking about it, the possibility of a shielding formation is greater. Over the years, the rebel organization has definitely invested a lot of effort in the research of shielding formations, otherwise it would be impossible to escape the search of the Sky-Eye system. Let me do it. Su Xian stretched out his hand, and blood oozed from his fingertips. The blood was low. Whoosh! 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 One after another, blood clones condensed. Since the mental search could not find it, let these blood clones blow it up inch by inch. It is estimated that the three major rebel organizations would not have thought that so many sealed kings would be dispatched together to blow him up in a carpet-like manner. Tianbai was also stunned. He could feel the powerful aura emitted by Su Xian's blood clone, which was exactly the same as Su Xian. At this moment, he finally understood why Su Xian could hide the truth. Because the clone stood in front of him, he couldn't tell the real from the fake. This Qinji king was really terrifying. Found it? While he was thinking, Su Xian's voice came. After digging deep into the ground, we finally found the Morning Star Laboratory 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 404. Push aside the dust. The entrance to the underground base appeared in front of the two. Above the gate, there was a pattern of the morning star rising slowly from the horizon. The morning star should have meant beauty. It guides people to the path of light. But Su Xian felt a breath of despair at this moment. Swish! A sword slashed across. The gate was broken open. This underground base did not seem to have many protective measures. No wonder he could not feel any breath fluctuations. Looking down from the entrance, there was a bottomless dark passage. The disgusting smell of blood gushed out of the passage, mixed with the stench of rotting corpses. Su Xian and Tianbai looked at each other. Both of them were skilled and courageous. They jumped into the passage and their bodies kept falling down. What whizzed through the darkness were broken limbs and corpses. The walls of the passage were engraved with desperate faces. The oppressive atmosphere ignited the anger in the two people's hearts at this moment. They descended for a full 6 kilometers, and neither of them felt any breath of life. All they could see were corpses that were twisted and looked like humans. Landed. Under their feet was a rolling bloody water, filling half of the passage like a river. These scums, damn it! Tianbai had never been so angry before. The heinous evil deeds of the rebels made him clench his fists. The two continued to move forward along the winding passage. Woo woo woo. A miserable cry suddenly came from the distance. Hearing the sound, the two quickly walked towards the source of the sound. If they were not afraid of hurting the possible hostages, they would have destroyed the base long ago. When they arrived near the source of the sound, the view in front suddenly became clear. Compared with the bloody and oppressive world before, this place was as beautiful as a paradise. What separated the two worlds was also a door. The door with the rising star pattern engraved on it. You are finally here. In front of the door sat an old man who was as thin as a stick and had a weak breath. The supreme human race controllers are a little late. The last sentence was full of sarcasm. Su Xian looked at this person. He could feel that the old man's realm was not low, and he should have reached the semi-god realm. For some reason, he looked exhausted at this time. There was no trace of fighting around, and no one should be able to hurt the old man. Did you do all this? Tianbai looked at the old man with cold eyes. Yes. The old man nodded and admitted, we just have different ideas, but I am also working hard for the human race. I hope you will like this great gift I gave you. Swoosh. Tianbai waved his hand. The powerful force suddenly pressed down, but the old man did not dodge and let Tianbai kill him. He still smiled, the little guy is waiting for you inside, go in. After speaking, The old man's breath dissipated. He died just like that. This gave Su Xian and Tianbaiyu an ominous premonition. This trip was too simple. What was the contribution the old man was talking about? What was the final gift? With a heavy heart, the two pushed open the door of the laboratory, and what came into view was a peaceful scene full of laughter and joy. The joyful voices of the children echoed in the small world. The intrusion of the two made all the children's eyes focus on them. "Hey, who are you?" One of the brave little girls said. "Where is Grandpa Tree? Where did he go?" Tianbaiyu was stunned. He didn't need to think about it. He knew that the Grandpa Tree in the girl's mouth should be the old man guarding outside the door just now. The situation seemed different from what they imagined. Especially these children, who seemed innocent and lively, but also revealed an indescribable weird breath. "I know, you are friends of Grandpa Tree, right?" The little girl was very naive and didn't realize that their Grandpa Tree had died long ago. Without waiting for the two to answer, the little girl took the initiative to come over and held their big hands. The other children also happily formed a circle and applauded to welcome them. The children were shouting and carefree. Su Xian's eyes swept over these children countless times. What is certain is that the children are not pretending. This place is not an illusion. These children really regard this place as their home. "Brother, have some tea." The little girl sensibly brought a cup of tea to the two of them, and there were still a few candies in her young hands. She seemed a little reluctant, but still pretended to be generous and said, "You are friends of Grandpa Tree, I will give you candy." "Candy is fine, just ordinary milk candy." It was because everything was too normal that the two felt that the matter was serious. There was no way that the rebels would deliberately create a paradise here to take care of a group of children. And they just heard miserable crying. Su Xian's mental power continued to spread in this space, exploring deeper into the laboratory. Soon, he felt something unusual. Deeper in the laboratory, there are some adults, but their state is different from that of the carefree children. They are restless in the separated rooms. They are also human, but they exude a distinct alien aura. Su Xian thought of something and immediately took a child's hand and felt it carefully. Sure enough, the deep blood of the child also contains the alien breath. Tianbaiyu also noticed it. The two immediately stood up and walked deeper into the research institute. The children wanted to follow, but they were stopped by two adults guarding the road to the depths. But the guards turned a blind eye to Su Xian and Tianbaiyu. "Keep going in." Su Xian could feel the strong alien breath more and more. The room gradually turned into a prison. All the humans with strong alien breath were imprisoned. Some people living in the depths even showed alien characteristics. Soon they walked to the end of the passage. There was a small room at the end. There was no one in this room, only bookshelves. And scrolls arranged in an orderly manner on the bookshelves. Su Xian casually pulled out a scroll, which read Bloodline Evolution System Morning Star Chapter Volume 13. The moment they saw the name of the scroll, they had completely understood the intention of the laboratory. Many years ago, a human race expert proposed that the human race should be open to all, learn the advantages of Lulan Star outside the professional system, and study the bloodline evolution system. However, the human race was invaded by all races at that time, and this behavior was tantamount to treason and would cause many unstable factors. The plan was cancelled at the strong request of the top leaders at that time. Later, many people secretly conducted experiments, and they were severely hit. I never thought that the rebel organization had already launched this experiment on a large scale. Since there are densely packed scrolls here, it means that the Morning Star Research Laboratory has achieved certain research results in the bloodline evolution system. Then how to deal with these experimental subjects? 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 405. After thinking for a while, Su Xian and Tianbai read a large amount of content in the scroll. The bloodline evolution system of Daystar Research Laboratory is more mature than they imagined. What shocked them even more was that the old man who was guarding the door before was the creation of the bloodline evolution system. The old man's grandparents merged the blood of the Abyss Monarch and the blood of the fallen angels among the 36 major clans of Lowland Star. After the fusion, they died within 5 years. The same is true for most experimental subjects. After fusing different bloodlines, they will die within 3 to 5 years. This is still when the technology is relatively mature. At the beginning, fusions would basically die within 24 hours, which shows how many people died for this so-called bloodline evolution system. This is also the reason why the Blue Star Alliance prohibits research on this system. Although the professional system will screen out most people at the beginning, it is safer and has a higher upper limit. The bloodline evolution system was too cruel in the early stages. It forcibly changed the characteristics of the human race. However, the bloodline evolution system also has some advantages. If the bloodline inheritance is stabilized, the starting combat power of the larvae will be greatly improved. When the old man's father was born, he had a strength comparable to that of the Silver Realm. However, he was executed for alienation when he was about 30 years old, and the old man was the most perfect experiment in the laboratory. He reached the Starry Realm when he was born. After that, he relied on his bloodline advantage to advance by leaps and bounds. When his strength was comparable to that of a demigod, the old man broke out. He killed all the rebels and took over the research plan here. At that time, the survivors here were basically the descendants of experimental subjects of the bloodline evolution system. The old man who had experienced pain gave all his warmth to the children here and took care of them as they grew up, but he did not let the children go. Because he knows it very well. The children here are all stained with the blood of aliens. Even if they are still human beings and have a human heart, they may not be accepted. The old man thought it might be good to live here. Relying on his own experience, the old man helped the children complete their bloodline evolution in a more perfect way. With the evolution of each generation, more and more children have adapted to the bloodline evolution system. It's just that the old man was an imperfect experimental subject, and he still had physical problems in his old age. When Su Xian and Tianbai arrived, he was already on the verge of death. In his later years, the old man and a group of survivors of the bloodline evolution system developed 2 other branches of bloodline evolution methods. They called it the Moonlight Chapter and the Sunlight Chapter. Su Xian and Tianbai digested the contents of the scroll, and were secretly shocked. This old man was in an unfortunate era, but he did a great thing. From the perspective of the Blue Star Alliance's philosophy, the bloodline evolution system should not exist. But for those poor children who had no choice and were forced to be born into this world, the old man's actions can be regarded as an act of great kindness. After experiencing an extremely miserable life, the old man can still maintain a kind heart. Even in the outside world, few people can do this. We misunderstood him. Tian silently sighed. It seems that the bloody road outside is the rebels. They were all killed by the old man. Su Xian also sighed. Based on what the old man said before, they could still hear the old man's complaints about the higher UPS of the human race. In those desperate days, the experimental subjects of the old man's era were probably thinking that hope would appear, right? It's a pity that the top management of the human race did not pay so much attention to it due to internal and external troubles. Fortunately, the old man finally became his hope. The 2 looked at the scrolls in their hands again. This time, a small ribbon was sent on the scroll, and there was a small word kindness on it. Perhaps the old man had anticipated such a day. His intention behind leaving these scrolls was obvious. The old man wanted to tell them that the bloodline evolution system was feasible, at least for this group of children, and hoped that they would not harm these children. Su Xian separated a ray of spiritual power and read the information in the Rizao chapter and the Moonlight chapter. The overall ideas of the Sunshine and Moonlight chapters are similar. They will greatly suppress the alien blood in the evolvers and retain the nature of the human race. Only under the moonlight or sunlight will the heretical power of the evolvers be revealed. Moreover, the evolved person in this state will not lose his humanity, but his pure power will be enhanced. In non-corresponding environments, they will become ordinary people again. The two bloodlines were called Sunlight Bloodline and Moonlight Bloodline by the old man. This man is truly a genius, what a pity. After reading the scroll, Tianbai couldn't help but admire it. What to do with these people? Currently, the most troublesome issue for them is how to deal with these evolvers. Seriously speaking, evolvers are almost the same as professionals. After cultivating to an extremely high level, a professional's physical body and bloodline will also undergo earth-shaking changes, and they can no longer be defined as a person. Take it back first. Tianbai said, after we go back, let them live alone in a city, and then slowly observe, we can even accept the coexistence of the elves, titans, and other races. Why can't we accept these children? As long as your heart is towards the human race, there will be no problem. Su Xian didn't say much. Faced with such a situation, this may be the best way to handle it. The two put away all the scrolls, walked out of the room and returned to the original place. The children immediately surrounded them. The evolvers who were previously isolated in the rooms also stood up, and they looked at the two with extremely complicated eyes. They seemed to want an answer. Perhaps the old man had already told these people everything that was about to happen. Are you willing to go out with us? Tianbai looked at the children and also asked those evolvers who had matured their thoughts. Go out? Where to? The children asked curiously. To see the new world. Tianbai's tone was rare and gentle. Facing such a group of innocent and lovable children, he also wanted to continue to care for them like the old man. New world. A child said, I remember Grandpa Shu said that one day he would take us to the new world. This sentence ignited the children's enthusiasm. A large group of children rushed up. Brother, is the new world big? Grandpa Tree said there are many new friends there, and there are many fun and delicious things. Is that true? Did Grandpa Tree ask brother to pick us up? Humph. Grandpa Tree must have secretly gone to the new world alone, a big liar. The children surrounded the two and asked all kinds of questions. Fortunately, this silent soil did not bury the most beautiful innocence. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target. Type, mix. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 406. It can be seen from the children's excited expressions. Born in despair and destruction, the old man has never slandered the outside world, and always shows the best side to the children. Let them always have good expectations for this world. Perhaps for these children, living here is a better choice. It will be difficult to maintain this innocence after going outside. Are you willing to go with me? Tianbai said. Yes. Yes. Brother, Grandpa Shu is also waiting for us in the new world, right? I really want to see what the new world that Grandpa Shu said looks like. The children surrounded Tianbai, like hungry birds, looking forward to Tianbai filling the gaps in their fantasy world. Well, Grandpa Shu is waiting for you. Tianbai smiled and said, you can see him when you go to the new world. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go to the new world to play. Brother, you wait for us here, we have to pack our bags. The children cheered and ran quickly to the room. Those adult evolvers had also prepared their bags long ago. They didn't communicate with the two people during the whole process, but their actions have made their position clear. Soon the children packed their bags. Perhaps in their hearts, this is just a trip, and they will come back here in the future. There are a total of 30,000 evolvers of all sizes in the entire laboratory. The number of children of the new generation is about 2,000. Only these children are evolvers created by the Moonlight chapter and the Sunlight chapter, and the rest of the evolvers still have more or less defects. Fortunately, there are only a few evolvers with alienated characteristics in their bodies. Let's go. Tianbao led a group of evolvers to leave. Naturally, he would not take that bloody road again when he went back. He would open up a new road and rush straight to the wilderness above. There are still people. Su Xian looked at a room in the depths. Tianbao was stunned, and immediately released his mental induction, and found that there was really a breath in a room. Whoosh! The two of them flashed and came to that room. Looking closely, I saw a 13 or 14-year-old girl curled up in the corner of the bed in the room. Sweat beads kept coming out of her forehead, and her breath was strong and weak. Is this going to be alienated? Tianbao had read various records about alienation in the scroll. When the blood fluctuations of the evolver reached a certain level, it was a precursor to alienation. Alienation does not mean losing mind, but it represents the degradation of the main blood of the human race, and also represents decline and death. All evolvers will die within 5 years after the alienation characteristics appear. It doesn't seem to be alienation. Su Xian frowned. Under normal circumstances, it is difficult for a 13 or 14-year-old girl to resist the fluctuations of blood alienation, but this girl has been gritting her teeth and persisting. The two did not intervene rashly. They did not understand the system of evolvers. Even if the realm is heavenly, it may still bring disaster to the girl if they act casually. Sister Yuya, come on. Sister Yuya, we'll wait for you to go to the new world together. Sister Yuya, you will definitely get better. The children rushed over at some point, cheering for the girl in the room. After waiting for about 3 hours, the abnormality on the girl finally disappeared. She first glanced at Su Xian and Tianbao quickly, then picked up the teddy bear on the bed, squeezed through the crowd and ran out. The children followed her and surrounded her. The unique girl aroused Su Xian's interest. The eye of the divine mentor was opened. The data emerged. Root bone value, 290. Comprehension value, 100. Mind value, 40. Compatibility with the skill telepathy of all things, 99%. Already have the constitution or bloodline, Moon Queen body. Suitable constitution or bloodline, all spirits god blood. The root bone value is so high. Su Xian was shocked when he saw the data. The initial root bone values of his 8 disciples were much lower than that of this girl. Normal data has reached the threshold of demigod. In contrast, the girl's comprehension value is much lower. Is it because of the blood evolution system? Su Xian could only attribute the abnormal data to this. No wonder he had an inexplicable premonition before coming here. It turned out that the candidate who was suitable to become the 9th disciple was here. Tianbao came to Su Xian and whispered, King Qinji, do you still remember the prophecy of Her Majesty Moira before we came? This trip is a bad omen. But where is the danger? As the voice fell, Tianbao's eyes were already focused on the girl called Crescent Moon. This girl seems to be the only unstable factor in the entire laboratory. And according to the scroll information left by the old man tree, this girl named Crescent Moon is the first experimental subject of Moonlight chapter. The blood fused in the girl is suspected to come from the abyss. All this is completely consistent with Moira's prediction. The Crescent Girl may be a potential crisis. Leave this girl to me. Su Xian knew what Tianbai was thinking, so he spoke directly to save her. I will be responsible for all the consequences. Tianbai was surprised. It seems that King Qinji has the idea of cherishing talent. He didn't care too much. Since the King of Thousand Machines took a fancy to her, he would let her deal with it. He believed that a girl who was just unstable could not escape the control of the King of Thousand Machines. Okay. The two reached a consensus. After confirming that there was no abnormality in the laboratory again, Tianbai looked at the children of the evolvers. Are you ready? We are going to the new world. He stretched out his hand and easily tore the earth apart. Along the torn earth, the two of them slowly ascended into the air with a group of evolvers. Wow! Is that the new world? The sun and the light are completely different lights. The faces of the evolvers showed a look of enjoyment at the same time. No matter how warm the underground laboratory is, it is not as good as a corner of this vast world. The children cheered. Su Xian could clearly feel that the strength of the children transformed by the sunlight chapter had been significantly improved. However, their mental state was not affected. The records of the old tree man really did not lie to them. As for the children transformed by the moonlight chapter, there was no abnormality. Whether it was successful or not, it would have to wait until the moonlit night to verify. Rising to the wilderness. The Blue Star Alliance's super-large transport ship is already waiting for everyone. Wow, a spaceship. What a cool spaceship. I seem to have only seen it in books. The new world is really amazing. It's so beautiful. I want to stay in the new world forever. The lives living in the new world must be very happy, right? When they first arrived, the children's eyes were filled with happiness. What they saw, heard, and thought about was the beauty of the new world. Even the endless monsters in the wilderness became part of their beautiful imagination. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 407. Come aboard, everyone. Tianbai invited a group of evolvers to board the ship. The children rushed forward, and the other evolvers followed silently. They offered no resistance. Because these are all explained by Venerable Shu. The transport captain came to Tianbai and asked in a low voice, Your Majesty, are these people prisoners of the rebels? No. Tianbai shook his head. They are just victims trapped by the rebels, and now they have returned to this world that belongs to them. Learn. The transport captain didn't dare to ask any more questions. His Majesty Tianbai and King Qinji didn't express their opinions, so he didn't dare to speak rashly. Soon, the evolvers all boarded the transport ship, and the spacecraft slowly started and flew high into the sky. Children stood on the deck, curiously commenting on everything in the new world. Everything here is beautiful, and Grandpa Shu did not lie to them. Su Xian stood on top of the transport ship. His eyes were always on Crescent Moon Girl. The girl seemed a little taciturn, sitting alone in the corner holding a bear doll. In order for the children to better appreciate the world, the transport ship drove very slowly. Under this slow speed, the fleet carrying a ship full of beautiful things ushered in the moonlit night. The moment the sun sets and the moon appears, Su Xian's mental power became more concentrated. What special abilities are hidden in the Crescent Moon Girl? The moonlight fell on the deck of the spaceship, and the children in the Rizao chapter became silent, while stronger power emerged from the children in the Moonlight chapter. You seem to value this little girl very much. Tianbai also came to Su Xian and said with a smile, You don't want to accept her as a disciple, do you? Su Xian's disciples are all very unique, and they are all super geniuses in their respective fields. This Yuya girl is also unique enough, and she is expected to become a disciple of the Thousand Machine King. Today is different from the past. Nowadays, the powerful men from all the major forces in the world are trying their best to give their descendants to Su Xian as their disciples, but it is not that easy to become Su Xian's disciples. Just the status of the direct disciple of King Thousand Machines is already a supreme honor. Su Xian said calmly, "It depends on fate, I am willing to accept it, but Miss Yuya may not agree." "Do you really have this intention?" Tian Bai was surprised. "I believe no one in the world can refuse such a good thing. As long as you say a word, all the descendants of Lulan Star will be willing to line up to join your family." "Your Majesty, you think too highly of me." Su Xian smiled. The two of them were chatting, and something strange finally appeared on the girl Yuya sitting in the corner of the deck. "What a strong spatial fluctuation." Tian Bai frowned. "There seems to be an aura of the abyss." In her normal state, Crescent Moon Girl probably only looks like the Silver Moon realm, but with the blessing of moonlight, her aura rises and falls, and at the highest level, she can rival the King of Feng. This span is really incredible. She won't become an abyss seed, right? Tian Bai was quite worried. Probably not. Su Xian's perception of space was very clear. At this time, the space around Yuya Girl was fluctuating strongly, but there was no sign of opening up the media space. If Abyss wants to enter Blue Star and Lowland Star, it must rely on the media space. Without the media space, no matter how powerful the creatures in the Abyss are, they will never be able to find an entrance to invade the two worlds. This state of Crescent Moon Girl is more like summoning a spirit body. The manifestations of abyssal creatures in Blue Star are all in the spirit state, which is verified by the profession of Onmyoji in Sakura country. The difference is that the relationship between the Onmyoji and the Abyss Spirit in Sakura country is more like cooperation, and the Abyss Spirit even has a higher status than the Onmyoji. This can be seen from the fact that those Onmyojis have always relied on the power of the Yama no Orokai. The expression of Crescent Moon Girl at this moment is completely different. At this moment, the Crescent Moon Girl seems to be the center of the energy of those spiritual bodies, and all the spiritual bodies can only take shape around her. The spirit body is more like being forcibly detained by Crescent Moon Girl. She is the master of these spirits. It is a pity that Crescent Moon Girl has not learned any specific method, and she only relies on instinct to summon the spirit body, which cannot form the correct guidance to turn it into effective combat effectiveness. Just relying on instinct, Crescent Moon Girl's power was quickly exhausted. The unformed spirit bodies gradually dispersed. At this time, the value of a correct guide is revealed. Interesting and interesting. Tian Bai also saw the magical power of Yuya Girl. I have to say that the theory of bloodline evolution is indeed feasible in some aspects, but it is too unfair to the experimenter. I'll go talk to her. Su Xian jumped down, landed on the deck, and came to Yuya Girl. Crescent Moon Girl still lowered her head, holding the little bear doll in her arms, and did not raise her head to look at him. Crescent Moon Girl. Su Xian shouted. This name is also recorded in the Moonlight chapter, and is the name given to Crescent Moon by those who evolved. The Crescent Moon Girl then raised her head and looked at Su Xian with her clear and bright eyes. "Brother, do you have anything to do with me?" Although she seems a bit withdrawn, she is not impolite. Like other children, Mr. Shu seems to pay great attention to the polite upbringing of his children. Su Xian smiled and sat next to her and asked with a smile, "What do you think of the new world?" "It's beautiful." The Crescent Moon Girl looked up at the bright moon hanging in the sky. "This is the first time I have seen a real moon. The moonlight is already beautiful, but it is not even 1/10,000th of the moon. In fact, the new world may be different from what you imagined." Su Xian knew very well that since the evolvers had left the isolated underground base, they would eventually have to face the bloody storm of the outside world. The vast world contains not only beauty, but also a lot of evil. "I know." The Crescent Moon Girl nodded calmly. "You know." This surprised Su Xian for a moment. The Crescent Moon Girl slowly said, "In a beautiful world, Everyone must be in a good mood, but I can't see it on their faces. They obviously refer to the stern soldiers on the transport ship. And the Crescent Moon girl continued, the small animals below are also full of resentment. The new world is not exactly like what Grandpa Tree said. Su Xian didn't expect this little girl to see so clearly. He no longer concealed it and said, yes, the new world is far more cruel than the underground world you are in. We have to face many things here. I know, there is an enemy called Lulan Star. Crescent Girl quickly took over the conversation. I saw it in Grandpa Shu's diary. Grandpa Shu's greatest wish is to help humans destroy Lulan Star. Grandpa Shu also said that the war brought by Lulan Star is the root cause of all misfortunes. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 408. Is the war brought by Star Lulan the source of all misfortunes? Su Xian did not expect that the old tree man would say such a thing. From this point of view, except for the angry words that the old man said to them at the beginning, his heart has always been towards the future of mankind. Born in darkness, heart toward light. Old Man Shu is indeed a person worthy of admiration. He not only brought warmth to the children, but also always taught them the concept of people-oriented. Education is the cornerstone of national rejuvenation. If the tree elder conveyed dark ideas to the later generations of evolvers from the beginning, I am afraid that most of the evolvers would only hate the humans outside. Brother, you must be very powerful, right? Crescent Moon Girl asked. Why do you say that? Su Xian smiled. Because those people look at you with the same respect we look at Grandpa Tree. Crescent Girl observed everything around her meticulously. Brother, can I ask you a question? Su Xian nodded. When she said this, Miss Yuya couldn't help but tighten her hands around the bear doll, feeling quite nervous inside. Can we people live like you in the new world? She carefully asked the question that had been worrying her. Su Xian understood. No wonder Yuya girl couldn't play carefree like other children, because she had long been aware of the dark side of the world. Crescent Girl's concerns are not unreasonable. According to the style of work of the Blue Star Alliance's top leaders, it is very likely that during the war, they will adopt the concept of I would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. The bloodline evolution system has never been recognized by the top management, and bloodline evolvers like Yuya girl may not be able to achieve a good result. If it weren't for my current absolute status and strength, I might not be able to protect these people. It's also sad to say. What Crescent Moon Girl begged for was actually just hoping to have a normal life. Ken. Su Xian nodded in agreement. As long as evolvers make no mistakes, they are normal humans and should enjoy the rights that belong to normal humans. Thank you. Crescent Moon Girl sincerely thanked me and said, you are looking for me because you also want to ask me some questions. She remembered Grandpa Shu's teachings. There is no selfless contribution between people, only mutual interests. This benefit can be money, emotion, or spiritual sustenance. In short, if one person pays for another person, it must be that the other person has something that the person needs. Therefore, she felt that her brother was seeking something from her. Do you want more power? Su Xian asked. In no mood. Crescent Moon Girl shook her head. The air was quiet for 3 seconds. Su Xian was also a little surprised. He said that this girl could see clearly. She didn't know how to hide even if the protective umbrella was right in front of her. He said that she was confused, but she made some things so clear. I can teach you a way to solve the pain that bothers you. Su Xian smiled and said, follow me, and I will let you see the real new world. Su Xian never puts on airs about accepting disciples. Among the first few disciples, some he took the initiative to recruit, while others knelt down and begged to be his disciples. With Yuya girl's character, if he didn't say a few words, the latter might not be able to seize this fate. Can you really harness my power? Crescent Moon Girl was dubious. Another reason why she didn't want to follow the others was that she didn't want to hurt the people around her. Even Grandpa Tree is helpless against himself. Is this young big brother in front of me really okay? She didn't know whether her elder brother was stronger or Grandpa Shu was more powerful, but from the bottom of her heart she still believed in Grandpa Shu more. Certainly. Su Xian responded confidently. If he couldn't even restrain Crescent Moon Girl's power, how could he dare to take the blame for these evolvers? I believe you. Crescent Moon Girl stood up. According to etiquette, if I study with you, I should become your teacher, right? She didn't want to lose control of herself again and hurt her companions and innocent people. If this brother can really help him, becoming a disciple is a matter of course. She immediately knelt down and kowtowed 3 times. Disciple Uia, I have met the teacher. Now that she had decided, Miss Uia didn't hesitate at all and immediately became a disciple and bowed. Get up, there's no need to be polite anymore. Su Xian was in a happy mood. In this operation to clean up the civil strife of the rebel army, we found the 9th disciple, which was considered the biggest gain. In the distance, Tian Baiyu has been paying attention to Su Xian and Yuya girl. Seeing Miss Uia chatting, he began to kowtow and become a disciple. He couldn't laugh or cry. King Qianji accepted disciples so casually. In the past, so many talented descendants of demigods and powerful kings were offered to the King of Thousand Machines to accept his disciples, but they were all rejected. On the contrary, it was this unstable Uia girl who made Thousand Machine King take the initiative. Come to think of it, the disciples of Thousand Machine King are somewhat strange. It can only be said that the weirder the disciple, the faster he will recruit one. This little girl is so lucky. Tian Baiyu sighed. In the future, with the protection of the King of Thousand Machines, the little girl's road will be many times wider. At this time, the little girl is probably still in the state of I don't know, the blessings in the midst of blessings. Under his gaze, Su Xian took Yuya to the top of the transport ship. The bright moonlight shines. Yuya enjoys the current state very much. Under Su Xian's guidance, the energy of the moonlight continued to gather on Yuya girl's body, allowing her to once again display the previous spirit summoning state. Yuya was surprised. This teacher of mine can actually control the moonlight energy of the chaotic universe? This method alone is already stronger than Grandpa Shu. Why would such a powerful person take the initiative to accept him as his disciple? She always thinks about Grandpa Shu's teachings. Is there anything in yourself that you can give back to the teacher? Meditation. While she was thinking a lot, a gentle voice came to her ears. A soft force circulated around her mind, allowing her to abandon all distracting thoughts and absorb the energy of the moonlight. After a long time, Su Xian spoke again. Yuya, today I will teach you a technique. She can help you restrain the summoned spirits, allowing you to truly control the power of these spirits for your own use. Crescent Moon Girl was shocked. Teacher, you are a professional system, are your techniques also suitable for disciples? The Great Road is unified. If the teacher says it can be applied, then it can be applied. Su Xian stretched out his finger and touched the center of Yuya's eyebrows. His spiritual power surged and the basic chapter about the all things channeling technique was poured into his disciple's mind. Everything is psychic. Yuya has a lot more information in her mind. Spirit bodies are special life forms that condense part of the soul power for those who have reached a certain height in soul realm. Channeling is to let one's blood and soul form a certain special state, and then communicate and summon those spirits that match the characteristics of those floating in the world and the chaotic universe. The greatest function of the technique of channeling all phenomena is to incarnate all phenomena and relieve the restrictions of blood and soul. It enables cultivators to summon various spiritual bodies to maximize their combat effectiveness. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 409. The information about the universal spiritual communication was circulating in Yuia's mind. Under the moonlight, she soon had some understanding of the basics. Su Xian sat quietly by the side. I saw that the chaotic spirits appeared again on Yuia's body. In Yuia's perception, monsters of different shapes intertwined around her, and those figures had a strong aura. But her power was too weak to guide those figures to take shape completely. Is it because my blood and soul aura don't match it? Yuia thought, and after selecting a target, she quickly operated the universal spiritual communication to make her aura match the target. At the same time, a faint moonlight floated on her body. At this moment, she seemed to be the goddess incarnated by the bright moon. Behind her, a spirit gradually condensed. Su Xian also saw that the aura of the spirit was extremely powerful, with a strong aura of the abyss, and the original body might be a super existence in the abyss. However, the spirit at this time had no independent consciousness. Yuia couldn't summon a spirit with independent consciousness at her current level. Yuia was exhausted by just summoning a spirit unconsciously, but her face was full of smiles. Grandpa Shu had taught her many times before, but unfortunately she failed. Unexpectedly, the teacher only taught her a basic method, and she completed the first spirit summoning in her life. Hu. 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 Soon, her breathing became rapid, and a strong sense of fatigue came. The spirit dissipated. Yuia looked at Su Xian nervously and asked carefully, "Teacher, did I succeed?" "Not bad." Su Xian nodded. The system voice sounded synchronously in his mind. "Ding, your disciple Yuia successfully summoned a powerful spirit when she first comprehended all things spiritual communication. Congratulations on your 8,000-fold critical hit return. You have obtained the semi-god level forbidden technique Sky Spirit Road. Sky Spirit Road, semi-god level, one of the special forbidden techniques. After using it, the caster and the target soul covered by the caster's thoughts can enter the special space Sky Spirit Road. Each entry has a chance to obtain soul-related opportunities. Tip: the more targets the caster carries into the Sky Spirit Road, the higher his own mental loss will be. Tip: the soul strength of the target will also affect the time after entering the Sky Spirit Road. With the ninth disciple Yuia's comprehension, Su Xian once again obtained the forbidden technique return. Another auxiliary forbidden technique. But Su Xian doesn't care about it now. Anyway, his basic combat power is enough, and auxiliary forbidden techniques are more useful to him. It's just that this forbidden technique is a bit strange. Special space Sky Spirit Road? Could it be another trial field built by the ultimate boss of the chaotic universe like the god of death? While thinking, the transport ship has slowly entered the airspace of Dingai King City. Seeing the prosperous big city and many new and strange things that have never been recorded in books, the evolutionary children are enthusiastic and sing loudly on the deck. Even those adult evolutionaries who have been silent can't help but cast their eyes on the magnificent Dingai King City. High-rise buildings, holographic technology, intelligent spacecraft. Everything is impacting the worldview of these evolutionaries. What you see in books is different from what you see in reality. Everything in the new world is far more magnificent than what Grandpa Shu described. The top of the transport ship. Su Xian pointed to the Shuiyu Palace in the center of the city. "Do you see it? That's my home, and you can live there in the future." "Teacher?" Yuia asked curiously. Grandpa Shu said that the most prosperous place in the new world is Longdu City. "Is this Longdu City?" "This is called Dingai City." Su Xian explained, "This is just a very small part of the new world, and Longdu City is farther away." As he said that, he waved his hand. A holographic projection of a blue planet appeared. He pointed to the location of Dingai City on the map. "Do you see it?" This small piece is Dingai City, and this spherical instrument represents the entire New World. Listening to Su Xian's description, Yuya was no longer so taciturn, but was replaced by curiosity. What about Lulan Star? Where is Lulan Star? Yuya was also curious about Lulan Star. She really wanted to know why such a big new world was harmed by Lulan Star. Su Xian pointed to the Roaring World passages again. The other end of those passages is Lulan Star, which is also the enemy that Blue Star has wanted to eliminate for generations. Now that I have come to the new world, do I have to become a part of the team that eliminates them? Of course. Teacher, you are so powerful, is there anyone more powerful than you on Lulan Star? The master and the apprentice chatted, and the spaceship slowly landed at the military base of Dingai King City. Tianbai's voice rang in Su Xian's heart. King Qinji, we are going to place the evolvers on the outskirts of Dingai King City first, what do you think? No problem. My opinion is not to let the evolvers contact other people for the time being, and only send official personnel disguised as ordinary people to communicate with them. After the observation period, when it is determined that there is no potential danger, let them officially integrate into the city life. For the safety of other people, Tianbaiyu did not dare to rashly let all the evolvers mix into Dingai King City to settle down. Once an emergency occurs, the loss will be too huge. Okay, nothing will happen in Dingai Wangchang. Su Xian responded, but Yuya has to follow me to Shui Wangfu. I will be responsible for all her actions. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. Tianbaiyu had no objection. Not to mention Miss Yuya, even if it was all the evolvers, as long as Su Xian was willing to guarantee it, he would dare to support it. Under the leadership of the official team, the evolvers were taken to the outer city area, and only Miss Yuya followed Su Xian to Shui Wangfu. Teacher, will they be okay? Yuya was still a little worried along the way. Don't worry, it's okay. If you want to see them, you can go anytime. Su Xian took Yuya into Shui Wangfu. Under normal circumstances, Yuya was no different from ordinary people. She looked like a more introverted and homely middle school girl. Walking into the small courtyard, Lin Suiying, Xiaoli, Xianyu and Qingqing and other disciples were there. Everyone's eyes fell on the new Miss Yuya. No need to guess, they also knew that the new junior sister had entered the door. The ninth apprentice sister looked quite timid. The teacher was really amazing. He went out to fight a bandit and brought back a new apprentice. Let me introduce you to my new apprentice. Her name is Crescent Moon. You can call her Little Nine, the ninth apprentice sister, or Miss Crescent Moon. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 410. Welcome Xiaju. Welcome Junior Sister 9. Welcome Miss Yuya to join our big family. The disciples expressed their congratulations. Miss Yuya looked nervous, because the teacher had not told her that there were so many senior brothers and sisters. But she soon calmed down. Because among the teacher's disciples, several were obviously not human. Since the master's sect could accept other races, it should be normal for her to be a strange person in the blood evolution system. Junior Sister 9, let me introduce you. Xiaoli took the initiative to stand up, took Yuya's hand, and then pointed to Lin Suiying who was sitting in front of the stone table in the small courtyard. This beautiful and cool beauty is the teacher's wife, and also our master's wife. Disciple meets the master's wife. Yuya saluted nervously. Xiaoli smiled again, my name is Xiaoli, and I am the second oldest in the section. You can call me the second senior sister. There is another senior brother in our sect, but unfortunately he is not here. I will introduce him to you when I have the chance. Second senior sister. Yuya called politely. In her heart, she thought that this second senior sister looked young, but she was the most powerful among all the disciples. Xiaoli turned her eyes and looked at the third brother. She is Xianyuan Qingqing, the third in the sect, and the most powerful alchemist in our blue star. Third senior sister. Yuaya was shocked. Regarding the profession of alchemist, she often heard from Grandpa Shu that there were alchemists who took care of their lives in the underground world. The third senior sister looked only a few years older than herself, but she was the most powerful alchemist in the New World. It was really amazing. Xiaoli continued to introduce, and her eyes turned to the fourth brother. His name is Sun Xiaokong, the fourth in the section. Don't look at him as thin as a monkey, he is very powerful in a fight. Fourth senior brother. Yuaya judged in her heart that although the fourth senior brother was also very powerful, he seemed a little mediocre compared to the two senior sisters. The faint emotional energy was absorbed by Sun Xiaokong's special life field. Sun Xiaokong complained in his heart, he seemed to be despised by the ninth junior sister. It was all because everyone in the sect was abnormal. He was a genius who was enough to suppress the old generation of strong men outside, but at this moment, he was labeled as mediocre by the ninth junior sister. I am Miao Tian, ranked 5th. Without waiting for Xiaoli to speak again, Miao Tian took the initiative to introduce himself. He could think of the lines when Xiaoli introduced himself, which must be the 5th is the oldest in our sect, so he just introduced himself. 5th senior brother. Yuaya made a judgment in her heart. 5th senior brother seemed to be out of tune with the crowd, but he had an unexpected sense of matching. As soon as the voice fell, Mai Wang also took the initiative to speak. Ninth junior sister, my name is Su Mai Wang, and I am ranked 6th in the section. I am not a human, you can just call me 6th in the future. After all, Mai Wang has no gender, so it is not appropriate to call him senior brother or senior sister. The title of 6th is the most suitable. Lao Lu is a social phobic outside, but he is very open in the section. He laughed and said, Jujaja, to welcome you, I will show you a talent. I just learned it. Yuaya was stunned. There is a talent? Thank you, Lao Lu. In the crowd, Lao Lu looks the youngest. He is obviously not a real human. The body in front of him is just an incarnation. After saying that, Mi Wang has already put on a deep affectionate look. The unpleasant singing voice came out. You are like a painting in spring, with red peach blossoms all over the mountains, blue sky and green mud, petals falling under you. Is it your home in the painting, and white clouds dyed red clouds? The Jujaja in my brother's heart, do you know that she is the painting in my heart? Instantly, Su Xian was stunned. The other disciples were even more dumbfounded. Where did Lao Lu learn this weird song? Lao Lu was still singing, his figure floated, and petals fell. Ninth sister, beautiful sister, beautiful sister. Ninth sister, red buds, red buds. Crescent moon got goosebumps all over her body. Lao Lu was indeed different. Success made her feel the enthusiasm of the master. The song was over. Except for Xiao Li, all the other disciples looked at Lao Lu like a fool. His mind was full of Lao Liu's passionate voice just now, and he could imagine what Lao Lu usually did. Xiao Li expressed his appreciation for Lao Lu. It was a pity that Lao Lu was too timid outside, otherwise he would have the potential to join the Niuma combination. After sighing, she pointed to Xiao Qi, who was weak in figure, and her tone was gentler. Her name is Nicolin, from the elves, and rank 7th in the master. 7th senior sister. Crescent Moon shouted. This was also the first time that Lin was called senior sister since she entered the sect. After all, the 8th brother who entered the sect later than her didn't communicate with anyone at all, and even the teacher rarely paid attention to them, not to mention the brothers and sisters. Xiaoli's eyes finally fell on the 8th brother who was carrying a coffin on the wall not far away. His name is Wuxin, the 8th, just like his name, he has no heart, and he won't communicate with us, you don't have to care about him. 8th brother. Uia still respectfully greeted the eighth brother Wuxin. As Xyli said, Wuxin didn't give any response, and was still immersed in his own world. After meeting the seven brothers and sisters, Uia's mentality has changed. With such a group of all-knowing senior brothers and sisters, how strong is the teacher? It seems that I still underestimated the teacher's ability. I guess the teacher is the strongest person standing at the top of this world. Uia, you will live here from now on. Su Xian spoke and handed an identity token to Xiaju. If you want, you can also visit other evolvers in the outer city, but you can't bring them out for the time being. Thank you, teacher. Uia took the token. Her understanding of this world is increasing little by little. This is your entry gift. Su Xian handed another space ring to Uia. Legendary quality equipment. Uia exclaimed. Regarding the classification of equipment quality, she also heard from Grandpa Shu that Grandpa Shu had 2 legendary quality equipment. She had seen those 2 pieces of equipment, but they were obviously not as good as this ring. Teacher, did you take the wrong one? In her cognition, legendary quality equipment is already the best of the best, and she has only heard of mythical quality equipment, but has never seen it with her own eyes. You got it right. Every disciple has one, and you are no exception. Su Xian no longer cares about legendary equipment, and there are still a lot of them in the space ring. Yes. Uia took it with both hands respectfully and nervously. The next moment, she was completely stunned. Because her mental power felt that there was a complete set of legendary equipment in the space ring, and each piece of equipment was not inferior to this ring. Just giving a set of legendary equipment to a newly entered disciple, what kind of terrifying existence is this teacher? Didn't Grandpa Shu say that such top-quality equipment is as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns in the New World? Is Grandpa Shu deceiving me, or is the teacher's power and wealth beyond Grandpa Shu's cognition?